Why do I have the feeling I'm tempting fate with just the title alone? Oh boy. So, Fire Emblem Three Houses has people talking, longtime fans cautiously optimistic, please have good writing, and even some new aspiring tacticians looking to take the dive into this upcoming tactical RPG with an extra dose of Harry Potter. But it's had a different effect on a different fandom, causing Smash Bros. Fans to speculate, and some to start dreading. Fire Emblem's got a tumultuous history in Smash, with some very vocal resentment in some places that a series with a nearly 20-year history that is about to get its 16th main entry has so much representation. But I'm not here to talk about that right now. Instead, I want to address the talk surrounding whether a character from Three Houses could get into Ultimate as DLC, something that is generally considered possible, some would sarcastically say inevitable. Because while most discussion up until now is centered around Edelgard, the axe-wielding house captain and princess of Adrestia, I think what we learned in the recent direct has opened up another option: Byleth, the game's avatar character who takes on the role of instructor and commander at the prestigious Officers Academy. While we don't know if a character from Three Houses will make it into Smash, whether as a late pick from this wave of DLC or part of a second wave if such a thing happens, I want to take a quick look at what we learned about Byleth that could make him, or her, actually a pretty interesting potential newcomer. Consider this an early draft for what might eventually become a full character concept like the others I've made. So, let's see what this mercenary turned teacher is capable of. First, I know there's a stigma against anime swordsmen, which is one reason Edelgard and her axe have had more attention so far. What if I told you there's much more to Byleth's weapon of choice than meets the eye? See, most Fire Emblem protagonists end up with some kind of legendary weapon in their possession that becomes associated with them. And every Fire Emblem character playable in Smash, aside from Robin, actually has a legendary weapon. And it seems like we got a glimpse during the February Direct of what may be Byleth's signature legendary weapon. This particular sword, which Byleth is shown within 2 different clips here, stands out because we've seen it before, in the E3 trailer. And actually, it showed up there more than once, because if you look at just the right time in this scene here, you'll see that the weapon this guy is wielding is one and the same. Notice how the crossguard is a dead ringer? Which means, it seems Byleth's signature weapon is a freaking whip sword. I know it's technically still a sword, but the very nature of this thing means it'd be wildly different from any blade we've seen in Smash so far, and even differently from the whip the Belmonts use. Anyone who's played Soul Calibur before, or taken Morag and her blade Bridget for a spin in Xenoblade 2, has first-hand experience with that. A whip sword could actually make a really interesting backbone for a Smash moveset. I'm picturing long-lasting, disjointed circular swings of the blade that cover space around Byleth and keep people off them. Maybe even multi-hit attacks with each segment of the blade having its own hitbox. Would excel at creating defensive walls and giving Byleth breathing room, but the whip sword swings would also be laggy and susceptible to whiff punishes, and they'd trade poorly with other weapons since each attack would rely on chaining all of its otherwise weak hits together for damage. But this character seems capable of more than just swinging a sword. We know about several other mechanics within Three Houses now, each of which could give Byleth even more moveset potential. In fact, there may even be more types of weapons in play here than just swords. The game's tutoring system allows you to instruct units to learn additional weapon types: lances, axes, a bow and arrow, even hand-to-hand combat. While we don't know to what extent Byleth themselves can tap into this system, it does present some interesting options to supplement their whip sword strikes. Imagine a forward throw where Byleth puts on a gauntlet weapon and clocks the opponent so hard it sends them flying. Seems that units can also learn a few different types of magic, under the categories Faith and Reason. Having magic be so easily learned potentially opens things up for Byleth to have a few spells on call in addition to weaponry. In fact, we caught some glimpse of some kind of dark energy in the same clip the sword showed up in. Is there some kind of innate dark magic ability here? After all, Byleth's name does have demonic origins. We also have combat arts in play, making a return from Shadows of Valentia. We don't know which archer in the game aside from Curved Shot, which requires a bow, nor do we know which ones Byleth will be capable of, but the option is there and I'm interested to see what kind of repertoire we end up with. I wouldn't be surprised if there ends up being some super powerful signature arc that makes perfect Final Smash material, if Scale and Ragnarok Omega are any precedent. And we're still not done. The new battalion mechanic lets units bring troops of allied soldiers into battle to assist, and you could even command them to perform special gambits. This opens up even more possibilities. Maybe Byleth could summon an allied soldier for a combo attack, or instruct one to guard a certain position and strike anyone who gets close. Now, there's one more thing we should cover, because it's really interesting. The narrator in the Direct alluded to an unknown power hidden within. You see, if this particular clip is any indication, where Byleth takes an axe to the back, only for the scene to reverse itself and Byleth to successfully parry the attack on the repeat, that power is the ability to rewind time. Looks like we got a built-in version of Millet's turn wheel here, which is a pretty brilliant move considering how well regarded the mechanic was in the previous game. This could work in Smash as a down special far more interesting than the simple counterattacks most Fire Emblem characters have come with. Perhaps activating it would make images appear of where you stood 1, 2, and 3 seconds prior, then allow you to rewind your position to any of those spots. It'd be really useful for escaping pressure or getting back on stage, but you'd have a limited number of charges per stock or maybe even per match, since Millet's turn wheel had such limitations in its game, and this power probably also will. Maybe using it would even reset your damage to where it was at the time you rewound to? Yeah, maybe not. That'd be infuriating to deal with as an opponent. Overall, while Byleth may not be very popular to talk about, the details we learned in the recent Nintendo Direct present a character with a lot more to offer than you'd think. Between weaponry, magic, combat techniques, assistance from allied soldiers, time manipulation, and seemingly a freaking whip sword, there's way more here than the anime swordsman talk would have you believe. I'm not saying Byleth will get into Ultimate. In fact, now that we know Three Houses won't be out until the end of July, I'm wondering if it's too late to get into this wave entirely. But can we at least be open to the idea? There's something legitimately interesting here, and that's just from what we know so far. So, don't be too quick to dismiss the idea or form an angry mob, alright? Either way, if you've made it this far, thanks for hearing me out over a topic that I'm sure has already sparked a war in the comments that wouldn't look out of place in Fire Emblem itself. Special thanks for the help I've had behind the scenes, especially from my patrons for supporting me all this way. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you're impressed or mildly amused by this video, check out my other stuff. I do character concepts, analysis, Elite Smash sessions, the occasional roster predictions that seem to be quite popular, and other Smash-themed and occasionally non-Smash themed content. Maybe I'll even do a full-length Challenger Approaching episode for Byleth in a few months' time, once we know everything the character is capable of. Until then, see you next time.